And what I would advise any Western company doing business with India is listen and learn and try to help people unfold their powers. They are powerful people. They are knowledgeable people. They know how the world works. Don't be arrogant by approaching them and say, oh, bureaucracy, and oof, they are way years back behind my way of living. That's just not true.
Namaste and welcome to the Wisdom Workshop by Shah-Paulini on business topics and global events in connection with spirituality. Integral and sustainable change means to integrate this aspect on a deeper level as well, because knowing people means knowing business. Welcome to the new episode of the Wisdom Workshop. Welcome Ute Marke, who is my guest today. A very warm welcome to you, Ute.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Purvi.
Yeah.
Yes, as you said, my name is Ute, and I'm talking a little bit about myself and my background. I'm certified economist, and I have grown my professional career within the telecommunication and IoT market segment with strong focus on human-centric digitalization. Nowadays, I'm supporting young businesses within the green economy with strategic advice and consultancy. But apart from that, and as we would like to explore where my zest and my yen for India has come from, I'm also a very passionate cyclist who uses the endurance attitude to develop and execute social engagement projects and groundwork in India, in remote areas of India. And so people fondly call me the Mad Mom biking, who has meanwhile executed several sustainable life-enhancing light projects in India, and a person who has deeply fallen in love with the subcontinent and the people.
That's so wonderful to hear. And let me put it this way, I'm always quite fascinated by you. When I saw your posts on LinkedIn, and I always thought, wow, what are you doing? What kind of amazing things are you doing? And as you already mentioned, I think the name of this project is also called Liter of Light Bangalore. So you'll be telling us a little bit more about that. And once you told me also that you love to see things and people grow. That's why you love to see your 3 children to grow up and to grow, right? I hope it's right with the 3 children you have.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, my bumblebees.
Yeah, and you are also an artist, right? If I'm not wrong. If I see the post and the
yes, and I sail, and I do a lot of things. I'm like the jack of all trades, so to speak.
All right. So maybe you would like now, you also already said that you have somehow, you're very much attached to India. What exactly is it and why is it like that?
The reason why it can be found in my sportive development. You should try to imagine myself as a heavily overweight 40-plus-year-old mom of 3, part-time assistant at one of the leading global players. It was obviously that my health constitution was deteriorating, and I really had to do something to keep my busy life running. So I followed this strong advice to stop my life as a couch potato, because I have been a couch potato ever since, and just go into sports. And it turned out that riding a bike was something I could really easily include in my daily life. So I bought myself a heavy Holland bike. I started to commute to the office. And very soon I discovered that would I have started biking like in my younger years, I might have conducted a professional sports career. I'm obviously very talented, and I am very keen to run this bike. So that got me engaged not only into biking events, but also into social engagement, fundraising, and foundation work at Vodafone at that time. And I supported a huge global player in Lesotho. And it was very much a success. I cycled for the good cause as a absolutely cycling greenhorn 1,000 miles from Land's End to John O'Groats within just 9 grueling days. Wow. So that was my maiden ride on a bike. Just imagine, I learned to ride a bike just 3 months earlier.
So how old were you that time?
45.
Oh, wow.
And I knew to ride a bike for just 3 months. So I didn't know how to ride a bike. I got myself a bike. I fell off the bike. And then I said, hey, why don't I do the ride across Britain and just see something of the beautiful country around me? That was, I mean, looking back to it, it was absolutely crazy and nonsense. Looking back to it, I did it. And when I was passing the finish line, people were just saying, hey, my goodness, among our 800 race bikers, you did this with yellow sneakers on your feet. You know hardly how to pedal. What's going on in your life? What's next, Ute? And then don't ask me why. I had never any thought like this in my brain earlier to that particular moment. Must have been the hormones and endorphins just exploding within me. I said, well, I'm going to cycle India for the course. And it just fell out of the blue. And I remember very well, I was literally standing next to myself saying, what? What are you saying? Stop talking nonsense. So when I came back, people were extremely appreciating my endurance efforts and that I really did it among the professional bikers. But they were very keen to tell me off that Indian thought exploding in my mind. And they were saying, India, honestly, you don't even know where the geographic location of the subcontinent is. You don't have any network, any people. What the heck are you talking about? Are you planning to get raped for free by engaging into India? That was the very first thing I know. Combined with a marvelous sentence, they don't have roads, they don't bike.
Okay.
So I was thinking, okay, taking it as positive advice. Yes, I don't speak the language. I didn't speak the language by then. Didn't know anything about the country, the people, the geographic location, religions, and how many people are actually living there. I took it as a positive advice to dig deeper and to learn a little bit. And so I started reading. I started to develop first traveling plans. I started to learn Hindi a bit, but more importantly, as the whole thought was emerging from social engagement activity. And I committed myself at Land's End to run a social engagement project in India on my bike. I had really to investigate within my network how far this could be going. And so the most important step for me to take was to just shout out in LinkedIn and say, hey, I don't know anything about the things I'm talking about. I would like to run a social engagement project in India. What could it be like? And I was really expecting little response or like funny responses. But what turned out was I immediately, based on the engagement I did on my bike and for the Lesotho project for the HIV impacted children there, people had such a huge respect towards me, and they came really across with very profound and valuable advice. And they stopped trying to convince me not doing it. They really tried to help me finding a way how to do it, or at least coming to the point, realizing myself that I could probably not do it on my own. So I stumbled across people in Gujarat and Karnataka. They have
in the west and in the south.
West and in the south, thank you. And they said, wow, yeah, well, we would like to do a social engagement project around illumination, around bringing light to people who are suffering their humble existence almost entirely in dark conditions. So they are depending from sunlight when sun goes down. They are living in their sheds and underneath their tents. They are running their lives in extreme darkness. And we would like to change that. So that is when the litter of light idea was born. And we were thinking of using plain plastic bottles, filling them with water like that, opening the rooftop of a shack, putting it inside, letting the sun rays flow through, and experiencing how the dark inside was flooded by daylight over sun time, actually. And I was so amazed that growing up in technology and working on IoT project, I was shocked that such a simple thing, such a plain idea, could really bring life-changing impact to people. A plastic bottle. So,
can I just ask one thing? That means that all the advice which you had in advance, that don't go there, India is a country of rape, and you don't know anything about that, was not a hindrance to you to say, okay, I will stop it. It was rather I just want to emphasize, that was rather a encouragement for you to go deeper into the whole matter and see how can you solve that.
Definitely. So today I'm very happy for all the negative triggers that I have listened to, because they made me the person I am, and they were paving the ground for social care engagement. So thanks to all the people who were very critical at first hand. The majority of all of them turned out to be very positive now. And even my Indian community, my Western Indian community is inspired by my Indian virus I obviously have running through my veins.
Yeah,
so it was a good achievement from all the sides.
So this warnings came mostly from any culture in Germany, or was it mostly by Germans, or were also Indians saying you should not do that?
Half. There were a lot of Indian people. Like, I was working at Vodafone at that time, and I had my team located in England, so in London. And at the London offices, there were at least 70% of the employees with Indian roots. Well, they would all describe them as British, but I mean, you can tell by the turban, the dark skin, and the potato they are having. They must have at least more connection to India than I can ever get. So
it's like me, most probably born and raised in Germany, but with a very Indian background, with the Indian influence, which is very important. But still, you want to be Westernized and want to be considered as a Western, but still have the roots as an Indian. So identification is interesting at the end.
Absolutely. And when I reached that trust level to really meet those people on an eye level, I could simply ask them, how comes that obviously you are so bonded to India, but you're neglecting it? Whatever you do, by how you introduce yourself, the place you are living at, and the projects you are running, how can it be that if I just tell you that I had an Amritsari culture last night, you are shining like a star, but apart from that, your entire life seems to be so categorically put into Western boxes. What is your point of not going out and be making a proud comment about where you're coming from? Why does it take me, who has obviously no relation to India at all, to make you aware where your heart lies? And that certain quality of conversation was the turning point in everything, because all the ones who were very critical or tried to stop me and my endeavors, they turned out to be very solid partners and advisors and mentors and coaches at the very end, because of course they knew what I would love to talk about. They had the connections to India. They knew how to handle people, cultures, and religion. So it was a very valuable connect at the very end.
That's really good to hear. And I'm quite glad that you went through the whole experience, what you had, and just said, this is not going to restrict me from anything, because I have the feeling that you're a person who says that restriction only exists in my mind, nowhere else, and just do it. So coming out from the couch potato to a cyclist through the Himalayas and in Lesotho, it's a very big achievement, and something which led let you grow at the end and
Yeah.
see that nothing is impossible.
That's right. And I mean, if you watch me today on my bike, you would certainly tell that I have recently learned to ride a bike. Yes, I can only pedal that thing, but I will be doing it. So it is you. Sometimes I'm really getting annoyed. You don't have to be perfect in what you're doing. You don't have to really have all the skills available to get started. You can even start with no skills at hand at all if you have a goal in front of you. So, of course, I didn't know anything about India. I had to look up the globe to see where the country was located, to learn it is a subcontinent, to understand how many billion of people are living there, how far it is away from Germany, what language do they speak, how many languages do they speak, what is Hinduism, what are all the fancy religions all about. So people were absolutely true. I had no idea. I was really off my senses, not knowing what I was talking about. But at the very end, it all comes down to human engagement. And one thing which is pretty much clear to me, and I hope pretty much clear to the majority of the people, we are one human race. We are in that together. We have the same aspirations, same skills, same dreams. I mean, I'm a mom. I'm blessed with tens of different roles. That doesn't make me different to any Indian woman there. We all have the same hopes and we all go through the same things. And we should we should stop limiting ourselves to religion or to gender or to national aspects. That is just rubbish in my sense. It's like, if you want to give back something to the community, it doesn't matter where you give back. So I remember very well when I had the first successes with my Indian project. There were other people approaching me saying, yeah, well done you, but are you looking around the streets of Düsseldorf? Aren't there any poor people? Wouldn't you like to support them first? And I was really shocked because I realized that people are still not getting what my projects are all about. Of course, I realized the poverty right next to me, and I'm not a very rich person myself. But if it comes to giving back, engaging communities, and working for society, it does not matter where you start. So it is a fair point to start in India. At least I started somewhere. And yeah, if I did not start my engagement in India, I certainly would not be able to do social ground work here in Germany as well after many years.
So that is your story and that was your way to go. And again, with this thought, if someone says, can't you see the poverty here in Germany? Can't you see it on the streets here? Is again a separation. So what you are actually saying at the end is, and what you emphasize, we are one world. We all have the same aspirations and it doesn't matter where we are from. It also reminds me of one thing, that actually borders are human-made. I mean, it's nothing natural. So we are getting away from our natural being by separating. Correct. Yeah. So this is also a very deep sentence you're saying, which is also one of the main aspects in the wisdom workshop I always try to convey here in this context. And one thing you also said, which touches me, is that you don't need to have skills in certain ways, because I think in the Western world, people are very much gathering all the certificates. I have to learn this, I have to learn that. And sometimes I find myself also in that wheel and I just say, Purvi, forget that. You know everything, you have it. And just to remind myself regularly to say, take that what you have and bring it into the world is actually the essence what you are saying right now.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a hindrance point because I'm equipped with an average intelligence level, maybe with a little bit more of a emotional intelligence. I just don't know, but am I able to run any technology project on my own? No. And what I would also like to emphasize here, whatever I do takes people at my side to get it done. Even if I'm a single athlete on my bike, I won't make it over the finish line if I don't have chaperones just speeding me up and pushing me to get through it, to people massaging me and motivating me just to keep going. If I sail, how can I sail a boat on my own? I need a team, I need a crew. In India, I don't not only need Indian people to support me, I need the whole infrastructure and the whole logistics and the whole brains, the big brains around me being able to achieve something. So nothing I ever achieved just with my own two hands. It took 100 hands at the very end to do that. And I think we have all the resources at hand, at least to ask for help, to ask for resources, to ask for knowledge. I don't have to bring in every knowledge myself. I can simply ask, Purvi, if I'm planning for Andhra Pradesh, what are your recommendations? I've never been there. So I couldn't go there and run a project. Of course I couldn't, because I don't know anything about it, but I know the people who know, and that keeps things going, I guess.
That's very nicely said. Once you said also that India is home for you and it welcomed you with open arms. What did you learn from this country, and what could you also give to this country is also a question I have. And of course, this is also including in this podcast is also, how did you experience spirituality, and do you think it is important in that way, and what is it for you? So many questions.
Yeah. So I will start, if I may, from the end. I still will not describe me as a spiritual person. I'm not. I'm much more a scanner. So I like to get into different topics, get to know different people with different backgrounds. So I really enjoy my eagle eye on the things, because I'm just profoundly happy with identifying needs and knowing people who can meet those needs. It doesn't need to be consequently me. Indians perceive that as a huge solid rock of spirituality that I'm having deep within me. So we are still discussing on that topic. I don't perceive me as spiritual. Indians do perceive me as very well spiritual, because I just do things by heart that matters to me. Why did India welcome me with open arms? It was very funny when I started to design the first social engagement project on lighting for the poor, which 3 months later got us as an Indian-German team under the umbrella of the UNESCO International Year of Light, and got us several international awards on extraordinary virtual partnership. At that time, everything was done here in Germany and in India, but separately. So I jumped on my bike, I did the fundraising, I did strategic advice, I did the networking in India for my Indian people, and the Indians executed the groundwork at the very end. So it was over a year that I first met my friends, my people, for the very first time, eye to eye and face to face. And that showed me that Indian quality comes across by being able to connect with people and appreciate people, even though they are not near. So I've never experienced before in all my life a culture or a people group that would be so reliable in building up remote relationship as the Indians do. And so when I touched ground for the first time in India, you can imagine it was me like, oh my God, I'm finally doing this. Oh yes, I did 7 projects before, but I'm here. Mad Mom Viking sits on board the plane and is approaching Mumbai airport. I was just all over myself, all over the place. And it was obviously, I still think it was obviously that this long, tall, blonde German mad dog was about to visit India for the very first time. And then I was jumping off the plane, making my way through the airport. And I remember very well, wherever I met people, they just were welcoming me with, "Welcome home, ma'am."
Oh.
And in the very first place, I was thinking, oh, there is nobody left or right to me, neither behind. Whom are they talking to? How could they think I'm coming home? I'm here for the first time. But as they constantly repeated that "welcome home, ma'am," and I realized that other visitors were just greeted by "Namaste, welcome to Bharat Mata Ki." I was thinking, okay, obviously there is something different in the way that I'm transporting to my outward world. And till now, I never had one bad experience. I never had one situation where I was totally confused based on my gender, my age, my social background, my nationality. It was always like finally matching the missing part. And I just can't explain it in any other ways. It took me more than 4 decades to eat food that my granny used to cook for me. So when I had my first kulcha in Mumbai, which is a rare thing to find, but when I had this, I was just blown away by the fact that I knew the taste. When I had the first kachoris and the cinnamon taste and the spicy taste, I was like, oh my God, I had never one kachori before in all my life, though I know the taste. And I was digging deeper into my upbringing and my background. And yeah, just realizing, of course, we use cinnamon in the German kitchen as well as the Indians use cinnamon in their kitchen. So it's not a very big thing. But for me, it was an eye opener. Once again, an eye opener to perceive myself as part of the human race. Not as a German, not as a mad woman, finally traveling to India, part of the same, I'm in the same boat. Mm-hmm. And with that attitude or with that spirituality, spirit whatsoever, you may name it, I never faced any strange situation. I spent days in the poorest of the poor regions with Indian people at myself, keeping the eye on me. Fair enough. I went to any place on my very own. I always had people around me. But on the other side, I was there. I spent time with there. I was just digging dirt, rolling up my sleeve, running ground projects myself. I was sitting at governmental places, talking to the higher ups of the country. And like 2 hours later, I was once again in slum regions, talking to the very poor, playing with the children, wiping their noses. So that engagement really brought me to the point where I'm now connected to all levels of society, to all religious groups, to people from the north to the south, east, and west. And of course, I don't belong. They fondly call me the Daisy or Didi, sister. But of course, it's just, by my outward experience, it is obvious I'm not belonging. I'm not part of this Inchiyada, though they really made me be one. And it doesn't matter. What makes it easier for me, much easier for many in comparison to Indians running projects, is that I can easily talk to the higher ups and the lower caste people. I don't have any religious hindrance carrying within me, which could be stopping me from doing that. So I talk to the giants, and the next moment I'm just lost in Sikh translations. And the nice thing is, and that that's the point where I bow my head towards India. India is a country that allows me being the way I am.
Okay. That's very nicely said.
My Egonkar always with me. I'm having my Kara. That is my first wristband I ever received. It's in golden, yellow, and red because they call me Pataka Gudi, the firecracker girl. Yeah, there is India all around me. And not because it's different, but Germans are Indians, Indians are German, we are all the same.
Now, listening to you, you have mentioned quite some buzzwords which could also be transferred to the topic leadership. And what can leaders learn from India, from your point of view? What anywhere in the world? We are not trying to separate, but nowadays more and more German companies going to India. With your experience, you saying that you didn't have any hindrances, hierarchies up there in India, but for you, you say, I don't care, I just talk to everyone, you know, for you, but in a very respectful way, that you are on an eye level wherever you are, on which level you are talking to. So what can people learn who go to India? With your experience, what would you advise them?
Would I advise them? I would switch now to the experience when I did my first lectures at the university in Mumbai. Mm-hmm. I was literally peeing my pants because I was full of respect of all the high brainers from senior management team in my courses listening to social engagement aspects in India. So I was thinking, oh my God, why the hell are they waiting for me to put any message across? And I sensed very soon in our meeting that, of course, they were outnumbering me, outleveling me with their intelligence and their skill sets they're providing. But they needed kind of a trigger, a spark ignition to bring all their potential to action. And what I would advise any Western company doing business with India is listen and learn and try to help people unfold their powers. They are powerful people. They are knowledgeable people. They know how the world works. Don't be arrogant by approaching them and say, oh, bureaucracy, and oof, they are way years back behind my way of living. That's just not true. Just try to open that box of Pandora. It can bring you everything, fair enough to say, but open it, look inside and try, give a helping hand and let the people grow and let the people run your business. They know what to do. On an empowerment point of view is just try to be yourself. Don't go there and say, well, we, for example, in Germany, we tend to do the things like that. We are connecting dots like from A to B, and then we have the full picture. Indians would probably come across and say, oh, we are all in one big sphere and connecting A to B might lead me towards C and I have to do 3 rounds. They're also getting there. Their way might be a little longer, but their angle of view is much larger than ours. So being a scanner might help. This is the point where I come back. It's not necessary spirituality. It's just being open enough to look around you, whether you need to have a tough business plan, a strategy, a roadmap. That's very important. But walk alongside that roadmap every now and then. Indians might tell you very smoothly and very elegantly how to walk aside. But that is a huge opportunity because it makes you stepping out of your own box and perceiving things differently, and might help you grow business success much further beyond what you have ever planned.
Wow. It's a very deep conversation that we are having. And let me just tell you that from my point of view, spirituality has nothing to do with religion. So whatever you are doing from out of your heart, what you are emphasizing is already kind of spirituality. So everyone telling you are, it is from my point of view too. And you are making your dreams, which we experience by sleeping, but you are experiencing them in this world in a very conscious way. Realizing the dreams is one of the things which defines, from my point of view, also spirituality. So I don't want to bring it too much as one of the most important things, but it cannot be neglected. That we have reached a level in the world where I believe that we need to start connecting ourselves to ourselves in order to be then in a better connection to others. And that's what you are doing already naturally. You're following that. And I think that's all about. Be connected to yourself. And I think this is also the new way of leadership, starting to connect. And I think that's what we can learn from the Eastern and Western wisdoms, and which are far beyond from religion, because they existed before religion was formed, any culture. And this is what's all about, and what you are living, what I can hear, and the way you speak, you really attract people by just listening to your story, and that is fascinating me.
Thank you very much. That's right into my heart. And I just want to add one simple, tiny little thing. Spirituality isn't a female thing. I hope that this podcast inspires the male side as much as we could easily inspire maybe the female around ourselves. It is just the attitude. It's like your compass. Maybe spirituality is the compass that is guiding you through, navigating you through your busy life.
Yes. And spirituality is neutral, is neither male nor female. It's within all of us.
Absolutely. So yesterday I had just a unexpected, interesting conversation. I went to buy myself a new bed. And that man in that shop was obviously so frustrated by the current situation he's living in, running a business, not knowing how to feed his kid's mouth the next day. And then he was like, and now I'm reading because I'm trying to find that particular thing which gets me grounded again. Do you have any idea what that is? I said, well, no, but I have a sound belly feeling, and I don't have the Christ resilience that my mom does, because she went through 2 world wars happening. But I know that all the beauty that I had in my life, all the beauty is still there. There is a lot of negative things going on right now, difficult things. We have to struggle a lot. But the positive things are still there. But just seeing that they are still there and having a look at them, that might help to obtain mental health and get us going through difficult times. And then he was like, well, I have to think about that one. He called me right away and said, thank you. Where did you get your wisdom from? And I said, no, I'm an average person. I don't have any wisdom at all. It's just the thing that navigates me through my life. If I could sit in silence, complaining that I'm unemployed, that I didn't secure the next consultancy contract, that I don't know how to manage my three children in homeschooling from next week onwards, when we're all back to homeschooling, homework, home studies. I bless all the internet wires and cables. I could sit here and say, oh my goodness, it might become worse. That's not the point. It will become worse, but the beauty is not gone.
That's very nicely said.
Yeah. And
thank you very much.
Everything else fails, have some Indian food. It gets going.
Food is wonderful. Thank you so much, Ute, for this wonderful conversation. And there is nothing to add from my side. And I wish you all the best, and keep this way of living. It's more than just being a positive person. It's just, I think you have the deep belief that everything is good and everything is fine. And only then you can see the beauty of everything. And thank you very much for this conversation. I think for me, you have given me some inputs again for my life, and I thank you very much for that.
सबसे पहले मैं कहना चाहूंगी कि बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद. धन्यवाद.
Thank you very much for the conversation.
Thanks.
And you keep it rocking, because I just admire your person ever since. It took me just a fraction of a time to like you.
Thank you
And
so much.
I remember you were just sitting in front of me, and I just had a look at your back head. But I like you. You have a certain aura of a person that gets things done. And this is really admirable.
Thank you very much, Ute.
Thank
See you very soon, and take care.
Aucho.
Bonjour.